Hey everyone, how you guys all doing? Okay, let's get started. So, my main plans for today are just to get as much done when it comes to gameplay as possible. That's really it. I really want to get the gameplay loop for this project solidified today. So just gonna be working on a bunch of random stuff, just get the game kind of in a playable state, you know? So the things I kind of worked on yesterday off stream were a lot of enemy AI and stuff like that. So we're going to finish that off today and also do more work on the combat. Okay, so the first thing I think we should do is get a hit flash working and start adding in some of that game feel stuff. Hey mad lad, I can't stay and watch for too long because I have quite a bit of homework to do, but I wish you good luck. Thanks! Oh, I gotta get started on some work stuff as well. I've been procrastinating that after the stream probably. Hopefully, though, today will be the first day I get to work on the game for a good amount of time, so let's make some progress. Okay, so the easiest way to get like a hit flash working is probably with a coroutine. So let's try that. We can make it under here. Hopefully VS Code will load up properly in a second. So if I play the game, give it some time, hopefully all the IntelliSense stuff in the background will load up. No, okay, we'll have to fix that error later. For now, that's not too big an issue though. As you can see, I got a dash working as well. So I'm thinking that can be kind of like the base attack for your player in a way before you possess an enemy. Okay, nice. VS Code is all loaded up now. Okay. So let's create a coroutine. We can just call this hit flash. And so what we're going to do in here is we're going to set the sprite's color equal to some sort of hit color. Then we'll wait for a second and then return it back to its normal color. So nothing too complicated. So that'll be yield. Oh, okay, let's make these colors first. So possess color, default color, and let's also create a new hit color. So it's set to hit color, then we'll wait for a second, you'll return new, wait for a second, return new, wait for seconds, and then we need to have some sort of variable to determine how long we want to flash for. So let's make that as well. We can add a nice space here, just keep everything organized. Okay, make a float, let's call it hit flash duration. Okay, then obviously we just want to return back to our normal color afterwards. We will need to do a check here though. So if our character's possessed, right now we're saying their color to be slightly different. So let's do a check for that. So if it's possessed, then we'll set it to our possessed color, else we'll just set it to our default. Okay, great. So let's just make them flash white. That's probably the easiest color to do. For about let's go 0.2 seconds. Oh, and of course we need to call that in the take damage function. So just go in here and do start coroutine, hit flash. And let's call it here as well. Perfect. Nice, so just an extra bit of feedback. Adding feedback to the fundamental parts of your game is just always quite good. I think we can probably lower that flash duration, maybe just down to 0.1. Let's try that. Nice, okay, that feels good. Okay, another thing that I want to do is maybe change up some of the enemy stats if the player's controlling them, because we want the player to feel a bit like overpowered in a way, and whilst we also want the enemies to kind of become more reserved in how much firepower they're giving out. Hey Geek Joystick, oh, I'm doing great, how about you? So it's all good. Okay, I'm liking how this is coming together. Let's maybe look into that then. So I got to work on enemy AI yesterday, and I came out with something I thought was kind of okay, but it's a bit messy, I'm gonna be honest. So I may have to clean this up at some point. I'm just watching the enemies now, seeing my source. I don't mind too much how they move. I think it's okay. Yeah, I think this will be fine. Doing good work on a personal project, been going good. Nice, nice. Hi Yosef. Can't speak too much about it for now. Okay. I think I want to add some sort of reload system in. Yeah. So yeah, okay, I'm liking how these enemies are feeling. So you can kind of take control of them. Yeah, okay. Let's change some things up though. Geek Joystick says, one thing I discovered recently are animation curves. Those are a godsend for juiciness if you know how to use those. I need to look into those. I haven't tried them in any game I think yet, but they look really good. I've done a couple things with like tweening libraries, but not much. I definitely need to look into them more. What's the game? Check out the pinned comment. That should hopefully give you a rough idea. And then on top of that, I think I'm going to go in the direction of a like arena shooter kind of game. So I'm kind of taking inspiration from like the newer Doom games and things like that. Okay, let's add in a reload mechanic. So this will just be kind of like an auto reload. So it's more like you can shoot in a burst rather than like actually manually reloading like the gun. Okay, fire rate. So let's say, let's create a public int mag size. Public flow reload time, and then private flow reload time to reload. So time to reload will be like our counter rather than the actual time we're going to be using. Okay, so the way we can go about this is, oh, and of course, then we'll create another int called bullets left in our gun. So it's on private. I should rename these slightly better, really. One thing I used them for was a platform on jump. It allowed me to have complete control of the jump's velocity, making me able to make some more wild jump curves like Yoshi's Island or Super. I'm trying to work out what game that is. Oh, Super Mario Bros. 2. Okay, yeah. Okay, that could definitely work quite well. It's definitely not something I've tried, though. I've heard good things about that from other people, I feel like. Yeah, they can be used for such a variety of things. I assume you just use them for the Y velocity, like your Y position, so you can leave the X one untouched. Yeah. That's very interesting. Maybe I'll try and use that later on for something. I think I'm not really an artist kind of guy, so using those for animations, procedural animations could be really good. I'm hoping to go for like a kind of minimalist style in a way for this game, so that could fit in really well. To do, let's clean this up later. So right now for the enemy AI, so they don't shoot too often, I have it so there's just a random chance that they just don't shoot when they get the chance. But I think I want to change that to make it a bit clearer to the player. Hey Locox. Okay, let's implement this reload mechanic now. So when we get to fire bullets, we can just do a couple more checks. So we'll reduce the bullets by 1. And then if bullets left. If bullets left is less than or equal to 0, we will just set our next time to fire instead equal to our reload time rather than our normal fire rate. So really simple, but should work perfectly. Okay, that looks all good. Chat is taking over. I'm surprised for the first like 2 or 3 minutes, it was really quiet in here and then everyone came in at once. Wow. It's cool. I'm not surprised chat kind of always goes in the direction of platforms. That kind of makes sense based on my channel, to be honest, doesn't it? Oh. There seems to be something slightly wrong with the stream, doesn't there? Okay, give me 1 second. Let's move that slightly small, I'm gonna say. Yeah, that might not be a bad idea, you know? Okay, is that better, everyone? You really weren't kidding about chat taking over, were you? Okay, thanks guys. It's still a bit squished, it's better. Okay, let me have a closer look at this. Let's zoom that out slightly. Okay, that looks okay. That looks good. Nice. Okay, thank you guys for letting me know. Okay, what were we doing? Oh yes, reload mechanics. Okay, let's get this working. So if we make a magazine size of, I'm gonna say three for now, so let's go starting point. And then let's set the reload time to 2 seconds. Let's raise that. Okay, how is this working? Okay, so the enemy's still firing at a pretty consistent, good rate. And if I dash in and... Okay, something's up. That isn't working. Oh, of course, we're probably not resetting right there, bros, are we? Time to fire equals reload time. Fire rate. Bullets left equals... Oh, okay, so we need to reset when we reload. Then here, let's reset our bullets left equals to max size. That should fix everything. Okay, nice. And let's take control on the enemies. If I don't die immediately. If I don't die immediately. There we go. So... That doesn't feel right. Let's just get one and see what happens. If I don't die. If I don't die. Let's hover over them and let's open up the debug menu. Okay, so time to fire. So 3, 2, 1. Time to reload. Oh yeah, time to reload actually is that variable isn't used at all, so I can delete that. Fire rate is 2. Reload time is 2. So it takes ages. 2, 3. Okay, no, so it is working fine actually. It's just the fire rate is too high in the first place, I think. Why is that? Fire rate's 2. That means, oh, I guess that's, oh yeah, true. That only adds up to about half a second between shots, which is still quite a lot. So we can actually increase that a ton. Okay, awesome. So let's get our fire rate. Let's double that to 4. Let's add some more enemies in.
Said it was unbelievably fast, cheap, and there's no mid-contract price rises. And if you find the same package for less elsewhere, they'll match the price.
Tony, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. Keep it between us, yeah?
Hyperfast broadband.
Why is this invisible?
Stay fixed. No wonder word's spreading. Hyperoptic, broadband's best kept secret. Mid-contract means mid-commitment.
I'm getting distracted now. Oh no. Okay, let's move that enemy over there. Let's go play. Let's make it play in full screen. Okay. Okay, it's nice. So they're shooting a ton more, so we'll have to reduce that. But then if I take control of the enemy, we'll definitely want to speed this up when the player takes control. So how should we go about doing that? We could just create 2 variables. That might be the easiest way. I would like the bullets to be slightly faster as well. Okay, so how about, we could add a multiplier, that's one option. We could add a bunch of new variables, which is another option. Because the thing is, I don't want the enemies to feel too overwhelming. I want them to like be overwhelming as a group, but individually be kind of easy to deal with. But when the player takes control, we want them to feel kind of powerful, you know? By the way, Dawn, when you take control, do you really die, or is it more of a Mario Odyssey possession thing? That's something I'm kind of split on right now. So what I'm leaning towards is that you do die if you die when you're possessing something. That's what I'm leaning towards, though I'll have to see. That'll probably be something I keep for now, that you just die no matter what, and then later on I may add some more nuance to it. At the end of the day, I don't really want the game to be too hard. It just has to really be fun, so we'll see. I'm thinking we add some more hesitance to their shots. So one thing I have the enemies doing is they're switching between a attacking behavior and a strafing behavior. So I may just increase the time, their strafe time. Yeah, so let's delete that. Fire chance, let's delete that as well. Strafe distance, offset, state update rate. How are we keeping track of this state time? Okay, so let's create two variables. Create an attack state time and a strafe state time, and just split those two up. Or a better idea, actually, let's instead of a fire chance, let's create a stay or don't attack chance. And let's keep this random offset. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, because I don't want too much randomness. I want them, or mainly, I want the players to be able to understand what the enemies are going to do. Having the AI be predictable but still interesting is really important. Because ultimately they're just there to help the player make interesting decisions, and so we want them to be somewhat predictable so that the player can form like a plan in their head, but also unpredictable enough that this plan won't always go perfectly, and so they'll kind of we'll throw some other like spanners into the works, so to speak. We'll make sure that the player strategy works okay, but there's always some more, it ends up leading to more interesting decisions down the road. Okay, don't attack chance. How? Okay, so we'll say if a random dot value, so if a random value between 0 and 1 is greater than our don't attack chance, and we are already attacking, so, or no, say if we're about to switch to not attacking, so not is aiming, not strafing, and that's greater, we won't do this. And instead we will just pick, okay, that is very messy code, but I'm just gonna ignore that and keep that how it is. Okay. So we'll say that about 33% of the time, or how do we set up actually? If random.value is greater than, yeah, so we'll say about 30% of the time we'll just not do our attack phase. Functional greater than messy, exactly. Or I'm actually thinking, oh, okay, the chat's messed up again, isn't it? Why did chat greater than stream? Why is that happening? I don't understand. Okay, let's try and preserve the scaling at least. I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue. That hasn't happened before. I don't entirely know why it's happening now. I'm just gonna assume that you have no, okay, yeah. I don't entirely know. Let me just minimize OBS. I'm using OBS Studio, yeah. Okay, let me minimize OBS and you guys just let me know if it happens again. So I assume I'm just leaving it open, and so some sort of like keyboard shortcuts making it maximize or something. Okay, anyway, actually, so instead what I'm gonna do is, no, let's leave it how it is. Let's try this. So open up Unity. And so the way the player strafing works is they're gonna find the vector, the direction towards the player, and then they're going to move like perpendicular to that. So they're gonna like look at the player and then move to side, as you would like strafing in some sort of FPS game. And so that kind of creates this interesting behavior that looks quite good from a top-down perspective. That is another unused variable, so let's go delete that. No attack within distance. Actually, no, let's add that in actually, because that's something I wanted to do. So what this is going to do is just mean that when the player's like right next to an enemy, they won't attack, because that feels really annoying as a player when you get really close to someone and then they just shoot you instantly and you die. So I'm just going to make the enemies conveniently not shoot when that happens. I would say it might be a YouTube saying, I stream on Twitch, but that wouldn't be logical. Yeah, I think that's much more of a me clicking the wrong thing at the wrong time. That's my theory. We'll see though. I think now that I've minimized OBS, it shouldn't happen, so fingers crossed. Okay, so yeah, let's implement the convenient not killing the player when they're directly in front of you behavior. So we'll do a quick check. So where do we fire? Yeah, here. So we'll also just check that if the distance to the player, distance to target, if that's really, really close to if the enemy's super close to the player, we just won't shoot, basically. Which sounds weird, but it should make the game feel better, even if behind the scenes we're kind of just cheating here. Okay, no and is less than, no attack there, or it has to be greater than. If not, we won't do anything. And we'll just set that to a small value, so I'm gonna go 1.5. I think that should be good. We have an error. Oh, of course, semicolons. And we need to add the don't attack chance, and we'll set that to, I'm gonna say 30%. That it would probably make more sense if I made the variable inverse, but we'll ignore that, that's fine. Okay, how does this feel? Okay, so they're giving off a burst every now and again. We can probably raise that even more. Let's make that 50%, and let's also reduce the magazine to, Ooh, we could just make it so the enemies only get to shoot one bullet. Should we do it that way? No, I'm actually... Let's just set it to 2. That makes more sense. Let's try and keep it a little bit fair. Okay, so they're kind of moving around. Okay. Okay, there's one other thing I might add to the enemy behavior before we move on to something else. And that's, I kind of want the enemy to stop moving and then for a couple seconds and then shoot, so we kind of give the player some time to realize what's about to happen. Oh, you know what I could do? A really easy way to do this, I could just make this a coroutine. It's kind of cheating, but I'm just gonna do it that way. Start. Oh no, that's not a good way to do that. We'll invoke it. So what invoke does is it allows us to just call the function, but in a short duration instead. So we can just add in a tiny delay of 0.2 seconds in. Does that work? Convert for the string. So it has to take a string, and that's annoying. Okay, let's just add in. Let's do the coroutine approach then. It's quick and it's dirty. That's what we like in a game jam. Hey Zaid. Okay, so we're going to call this the very creative name of coroutine enumerator fire in a bit. Fire in a bit. And all this is going to do is literally call fire bullet. Fire when I feel like. Yeah, exactly. Fire bullet in a direction which we are gonna input in direction. And before we do that, we're just gonna wait a bit. Yield return new, wait for seconds, and we can just we'll just hard code this 0.2. We can change that later if we need to. And then when we're shooting with the enemy, we'll just call this instead. So actually, let me not delete that immediately because we need this long line of code. So what that's doing is adding a slight offset. Once again, we're cheating and giving the enemies a slight disadvantage, but hey, this is kind of what arcade games are all about, making the player feel like they're doing amazing, even when in reality we're helping them a ton. It's kind of like all the tricks and stuff we use in the platform tutorials with the coyote time and the input buffering, things like that, but from a top-down shooter's perspective. So let's store this as a vector2, just clean up our stuff a bit. Am I already using, let's rename this because I'm using direction, or the variable name direction in so many places. Let's call this direction to fire. And then we will call our coroutine, start coroutine. It is called fire in a bit, and let's pass in this direction to fire. Awesome. So hopefully the way this should work now is the players aim in, or the enemies aim at the player, stay still for a couple seconds or 0.2 seconds, and then shoot. Okay, nope. We need to call this section before. Okay, yeah. Let's just get another look at that. I think that'll make a great post on Twitter later. So let's fix that bug maybe. We could go down the bullet hell approach, that's very true. I'm not sure this will be the most fun experience for players though. Okay. Let's start fixing that. What's the best way to go around this? So the issue is, because we're calling the function slightly later, we're not resetting our fire rate timer. So then we just keep firing until we eventually reset this after the 0.2 seconds duration. So instead, we should have our coroutine fire in a bit, instead be calling would that work? Okay, actually, let's just copy that. We'll put this before our coroutine, and then we just have to remember to put that wherever else this function is being called from as well. Find reference, there we go. Fire burn a bit, and then let's just go to the player section and call that over here as well. Okay, that's all fine. That should work perfectly. I just joined the stream. I can't wait to see this polish. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Ah, same. I really hope this turns out good, because I haven't actually made a game in such a long time that this is like a big thing for me. So I've got to make sure I get something out no matter what. That's my goal here. Okay, so they stop, and then issue. Okay, so now that looks like it's working. Yeah, okay. We could actually make that duration slightly longer, but I'm scared it might start interfering with the AI a bit then. They are a bit jittery at points. Let's maybe try and smooth this out before we start working on something else. So we can just do a couple of debug statements, I'm thinking. So in the strafe section, oh yeah, we're already, okay, awesome. So I was using this debug line yesterday, and so this will show us where the enemies are kind of moving towards. So where's the glitchiness arising from? So it's when our strafe distance is too small. Now, why would that be happening? So where do we set our strafe target? Over here. Random value. That's one. This all looks a bit weird, but just trust me, I think it makes sense. This is what I spent all of yesterday afternoon doing, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it's doing at this point, but it seems to work okay. How we can get the glitchiness to stop, I'm not sure. We seem to just be setting the strafe target to the same random point, yeah. So we're normalizing that, so that's not the issue. That shouldn't be the issue either. Let's play it again and see what's happening. So why are they moving to such a small, such a location so close to them? Also, is that actually causing the glitchiness? I'm not sure. Yeah. If I increase the strafe distance, will that fix it immediately? Okay, I think this is fine. Let's mess around now with the taking control of the enemies bit. It still feels very slow. Let's reduce the reload time, I'm thinking. Because now that we have all those other systems in place to stop the enemies from shooting too much, it should be fine. So if we make the reload time 0.5 seconds and we increase the fire rate to 5, let's apply that to our prefab. Okay, that's shooting a ton now. Let's reduce the chance to attack even further. So there's a 70% chance every second that we just don't stop attacking completely. They're still attacking a lot though. Okay, I have a feeling we haven't implemented something right, and that scares me because I don't want to debug all of this code. Okay. Don't attack chance. So if we're not aiming, so if we're currently strafing, and our value is greater. Oh, so we actually want that to be less. Oh no, that is how it is. Madled says, I gotta go. Good luck with the game and see you later. Oh, that's great. Okay, hopefully I can catch you later in another stream then. Thank you. Okay, let's see. This enemy code's annoying me. So we stay strafing if it's a lower. So if we're within attack distance, we'll either aim at the enemy and shoot them, or we will strafe around them. And then every so often we'll update this state and switch between strafing and attacking. Let's reduce the randomness to 0. Don't attack chance is 0.3, strafe difference is 7, aim randomness is 0.25. Let's keep that how it is. Okay, I actually think that's working how it's intended, to be honest. Yeah, so they don't shoot often, but when they do shoot, they shoot a lot. So how about we add something in here? So as soon as they shoot, then we switch. Yes. So as soon as we shoot, let's switch this. So they only shoot 1 bullet now, but that may make it feel way better. Let's have a look. Let's add back in the movement or the music. Let's go find some nice music to play. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's have a look at this now. So they only shoot once. And they immediately swap. Okay, not a fan of that either, to be honest. Let's say if they reload, then we swap. So we only allow them to get 1 burst off. I think I'm gonna have to redo it again, to be honest. And I don't like, it's working okay, but I think all the stuff I've done over the last half an hour, I think I might have to rework that at some point. Okay, that's fine. Let's work on something else for a while. What else is there to do? Game feel. Add more enemy types. I think part of this game does feel very fun. I think the switching and taking control of the enemies does work very well. We could add a wave spawner actually, because that can help us test the game. Is that a good idea? Let's implement it for now. Okay, so let's add a game manager. And inside of here, we can have a enemy. No, let's just go another game manager again. Okay, so how should we go about implementing this? So for now, let's just add it continuously spawn enemies over just forever, basically. Spawn rate. And so we just go update. Okay, private time to next spawn. And let's also create a variable holding what enemy we're going to spawn. So public game object, let's call it P for prefab, and then enemy. So we can add way more to this later. For now, this is just pretty much for testing. So an update will check if our time to next spawn is less than our current time, then we will instantiate an enemy. So the next thing we have to do is work out where we're going to instantiate the enemy. So I think the best way to do this is to pick a random position in a circle around the player, because in the random class there's this neat function called inside unit circle. And so if we normalize that, we'll just get a random position on the radius of a circle around our player, if that makes sense. So let's create another variable called spawn radius. Masterlink says, I need to go, but I love how the game is coming out. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Awesome. I hope to catch you later then. Yeah, I'm super excited to see what this game is like after we get in all the cool gameplay and can start adding in all the polish and arts and visuals. Because I think that will add a lot to the game. The main thing for now is we have to make the enemies feel really good, because half of the game you're going to be playing as them, so they need to feel amazing to play as. That's our goal for today at least. So we have about another 4 days to work on the game. So if I do core gameplay today, get that all done, get the gameplay loop finished. Tomorrow, if then I start working on game feel, art and visuals, and then that gives us 2 other days to just work on loads of polish, adding in possibly even more enemies, adding in some sort of level system, and then sound effects, other game juiciness stuff, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's go back to 2, and this will be our spawn position, and that'll be equal to a random place around our player, and let's just time our spawn radius. So let's add that spawn buzz. Then our rotation doesn't matter, so we'll turn into identity. And that should be all good. What's the error here? Doesn't exist. Oh, I didn't declare it as a float. Time to spawn is equal to time plus spawn radius. And that is it, to be honest. That should work perfectly. So let's add in our player prefab, or enemy prefab rather. Spawn rate, let's say 1 every 2 seconds, and then a radius, let's set that to 20. Okay, let's zoom out here. Is that working? Object type base player has been destroyed. That's fine, we're not too worried about that error. Let's see, are we actually spawning any enemies? No, it doesn't seem so. Why is that? Have we actually, yeah, we have added the script. Time to next spawn is less than time.time. That should be fine, right? Spawn position. Okay, let's just try out the good old debug and see what happens. Spawn enemy. So if we leave that running, we call that once and that's it. This shouldn't be affecting it at all, this error. Okay, yes, we spawn one enemy, that works fine. And then after that, it stops working. Oh, adding the spawn radius. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So it was working, we were just adding a time value that's just way too big. So it would take like 10 seconds to spawn every single enemy. Yeah, if our spawn radius is 20, we weren't exactly playing the game for 20 seconds. Okay, so it should work good now. I hope. Okay, there comes one. There comes another, okay. Like this. Okay, let's play this for a while and see how this works. Okay, the enemies are very passive and feel kind of stupid right now. And then they kill you out of nowhere. Okay, yeah, the enemy AI needs work. But this does seem to be working quite well. I mean, the camera also doesn't follow the enemies, which feels a bit weird. So when we're controlling an enemy, the camera kind of just stays where it is until we go back to normal. I don't know, maybe the enemy AI will feel better once we have graphics and stuff in, and animations. It's hard to tell really. There isn't much of a reason to switch enemies right now either, because as soon as I possess one, I can kind of just sit here and just spam away slowly. That works fine. I don't hate how the enemies are though. I think with some work they should be fine. The dash feels very good. That's another thing to note. But this is actually nearly playable now, kind of in a weird way. So I'm pleased with this. This is good. Okay, what to work on next? I think I need to think more about enemy AI. So let's do some brainstorming for a second. Let's see. let's bring over Notion. Okay, what needs to be done? Let's get rid of all the stuff from yesterday. So, enemy AI. We need to work on that. And so with that, we also need to work on different types of enemies. So I still haven't worked out exactly which enemies I want to focus on. They need to be simple because I need to be able to prototype them really quickly and iterate. So I want something simple, and then it needs to be different as well. I wrote down a few things I think are really important for this game. And so these are the questions that the player needs to be constantly going through the player's head as they're playing. Hey, not load clocks, important difference I see. Let's see. So we need enemies that encourage this kind of micro decision making. Enemy AI, enemy types. So those are two main things, I'm gonna be honest. The enemy types, because that's what you're playing as most of the game, and that's also where the challenge comes from. So this might actually be the main thing I focus on today and tomorrow. Okay, then of course we have all the game feel things. So these are blood particles. We also need screen shake. What other things count as game feel that we should have? Just general particle effects as well. So ammo particles, things like that. Next, we need to also think about some of the more broader game systems. So UI, like health UI, ammo UI, ability UI, and all the art. Basically all the art. Let's just add that in. Art, so we'll need enemy art, we'll need environment. I'm thinking of keeping the environment super simple. Hey Perry. And having levels that haven't got any actual obstacles in them, they're just kind of open spaces. So I was inspired by this other game called Devil Daggers, which, let me show you a quick screenshot. It's this kind of minimalist, arena shooter, and it's really interesting. I believe there's this YouTuber called Mental Checkpoint. He did a fantastic video on this game, so maybe go check that out later. Okay, enemy art. We need some sort of level, which really just means ground art. We'll also need some player animation stuff. I'm gonna keep the player super minimalist and simple, but how they like feel to move will be really important. Perry says, I watched one of your videos and now it's the only thing YouTube recommends to me. I mean, I'm not complaining, so if that's what YouTube wants to do, I'm okay with that. To be fair, probably because the video is good. That's good to hear. 2 platform movement with forces one. Okay. I'm still kind of surprised that that is the video that gets recommended to most people. I think my most recent video is obviously my favorite, it being the most recent, but I'm glad they're helping people. I mean, everyone seems to have like resonated with them super well, so that's awesome. Hey Gigi, love your organization. What tools do you use for organizing? Okay, so right now I'm using Notion, which I believe you use as well. Notion's fantastic. So many videos online about how to use it. And secondly, I'm using Affinity Designer, which is kind of like an Adobe Illustrator style tool for brainstorming. Not really what it's meant to be used for. It's more of a graphics design, logo design kind of application, but it's working fine with this. So everything's working good so far. Okay, let's work out what's our next step. We might just have to dive straight into more enemy AI design. Let's see. So a couple ideas I had for enemy design, let's go find these, is I was brainstorming all the possible attacks that would be fun for the player to use. So I'm thinking of things like grappling hooks, loads of movement based stuff as well, and some sort of explosive enemy could be great as well. Perry says, but the weird part is that I got the acceleration working, but when I changed the values, it stopped working. Without me even changing the code. The values you pick when it comes to my platform and movement stuff is very important sometimes. So it definitely depends. I think I've given comments to most of them, so hopefully you can work out the rough kind of style you need to go for. Let's see. What enemy would work well for this? Okay. I'm thinking we add some sort of larger tank style enemy maybe? How could this work? So in my mind, I know there's an Overwatch character that kind of fits this kind of image in my mind. I can't remember what he's called though. So I'm thinking of some big tank guy who has some sort of grappling hook, which I think would be fun. How that ties into the wider game systems, I'm not entirely sure yet. Let's see. Some sort of melee enemy could be great as well. Tank with grappling hook in Overwatch. I think so. I haven't played Overwatch in a very long time. Let's have a look.
You see my bitch, say she had bad. Anytime I knock with that.
Okay, and I'm back. So, what should we do? Okay, this might be time for a break, I'm thinking. So, I might go for 5-10 minutes, think about enemy design, and then I'll come back and hopefully we can start working on something. Does that sound good? So, let's end the stream, let's start up a new stream in like 10-20 minutes, you know? So hopefully, I'll see you guys back there. Okay, thanks for tuning in everyone, I'll see you in a bit.